Hi guys, it's Angie with Fun Endeavors Tie-Dye Lab. Today I'm going to make another chaos spiral, and this one I'm going to do a little bit differently. I'm going to try to blend the colors into one another. So I have the shirt turned inside out, and I'm using a washable marker to make a mark where I'd like for the center of my spiral to be. I normally like to put the centers of my spirals just about level with the armpit of the shirt or a little bit below it. To spiral the shirt, I'm going to use a pair of locking tweezers, and I purchased these from Amazon. I'll leave a link down below in the description for where I purchased them. I'm going to attach the tweezers to the mark that I made on the shirt, and then over the top of the tweezers, I'm going to place a microwavable splatter guard. And this splatter guard, I'm placing the flat side against the shirt. This will help to keep my folds just about the same height as I'm spiraling the shirt. So as I'm twisting my locking tweezers, I'm using my other hand to make additional folds in the shirt. Once I have the shirt spiraled, I'm going to hold the folds in place with some rubber bands. The day that I folded this shirt, I was folding quite a few other shirts, so I placed this one aside, and by the time I came back to apply the dye, it was completely dry. It doesn't need to be though. You can go ahead and apply the dye to this shirt while it's still damp. Okay, so my vision for this shirt is to have 4 colors that are kind of close and blend the colors together. I'll explain that a little bit more in just a few minutes. I'm going to ice dye this shirt, and I like to apply the dye to the flatter or cleaner side of the spiral. So whenever I do a spiral, I try to place the front of the shirt against the table so that that is the side that ends up looking cleaner or less messy. And that's the side that I like to apply the dye to. I'm going to divide the shirt using a washable marker into 4 main sections because I've chosen 4 main colors for this shirt. Then inside of those 4 main sections, I'm going to put a very small area in between the colors where I can blend the sections together. I've chosen some red colors, some pinks, some pinky purples, and then a little bit of bluish type purple. My goal is to have those 4 colors kind of blend into each other as it spirals around the shirt. So we'll see how that works. Before I begin applying the dye, I need to make myself an ice barrier. So I'm going to use some silicone cake molds, attach them together, wrap them around the shirt, and then to hold them together, I'm going to use a wooden clothespin. I have a link down below in the description for this video for where I purchased the silicone cake molds. I'm going to start out by applying the reds to this section. And the thing with the chaos spiral is you add just little bitty bits of each one of the colors. And remember that small section on either side of the red, I'm going to add some little bits of color to that and blend them to the colors on either side. So let me tell you the colors that I'm going to use for the red section. I'm going to use 10 different colors of each of the 4 colors I'm using. So I purposely made myself stop at 10. If you don't have 10 different reds that you want to use, then use however many you have. The purpose of using a whole bunch of colors is it gives each one of the areas some dimension, which I think looks pretty cool. And for the reds, I kind of stick to the more pinkish reds. I steered clear of the more orangey or yellow reds. Okay, so I'm using Spanish Carmine from Custom Colors, Very Cherry, Wild Cherry, and Crimson Rose from Die Spin, Burgundy and Red No. 9 from Grateful Dyes. And then from Dharma Trading Company, I'm using Red Wine, Burgundy, Cardinal Red, and Chinese Red. If you missed any of those, I have them all listed below in the description. In one of the sections next to the red, I'm going to do the pinks. And the colors I'm using for that are strawberry and wholesale pink from Custom Colors, light red, fuchsia red, hot hibiscus, and dragon fruit from Dharma, bubblegum and cherry blush from Pro Chemical and Dye, and pure magenta and strawberry pink from Dye Spin. So the section that connects or goes between the red and the pink, I'm going to add some pink to that section as well. So in those very small sections between colors, I'm going to add a little bit of each one of the colors, with the hope and the intention that the colors will kind of gradually blend into one another. In the section next to the pinks, I'm going to add the pinkish type purples. So for that one, I'm adding Amethyst, Razzle Dazzle, Magenta Galactica, and Orchid from Dharma Trading Company. I'm also going to add Royal Purple from Grateful Dyes, Scottish Heather, Purple Sage, and Lavender Fields from Dye Spin. And the last two colors are Mulberry and Boysenberry from Pro Chemical and Dye. Okay, in the last section, I'm going to add grape, snozzberry, blue violet, ultraviolet, lilac, and hydrangea, which are all from Dharma Trading Company. The snozzberry was a muck dye, and that was a few years ago. That one's no longer available, but you can just substitute some other kind of bluish purple in there. I'm also going to use royal purple and English violet from Dye Spin, as well as aster and grape from Pro Chemical and Dye. Once I have all the dye on the shirt, I'm going to add an additional sprinkle of dry soda ash over the top and then add on some ice. I added on about 3 layers of ice total on this shirt. After the first layer melted, I came back. I had quite a bit of undissolved dye left sitting on top, so I added a second layer, and then after that one melted, I added one more layer. After the final layer of ice melted, I placed this shirt down inside of a plastic tote that had a metal shelf down in the bottom. I placed the lid on the tote, and then I put the shirt outside where it could process in the heat. I allowed it to process outside for about 24 hours before I began rinsing it. To rinse the shirt, I took it to my utility sink and I began rinsing it in cold water to rinse out the soda ash. Then I untied the shirt and I warmed the water up to hot and continued rinsing in hot water to rinse out the excess dye that didn't bond with the fabric. I don't like to rinse for a long time, so instead I like to soak my shirts. I ran some really hot water in my utility sink, added some Blue Dawn dish soap to the water, and placed the shirt inside and allowed it to soak. When the water cooled off, I changed it out and I continued that soaking process until the water was remaining almost clear. Then I put the shirt along with some Dharma's professional textile detergent into my washing machine and I washed it using a hot water cycle. Okay, so I've washed, dried, and ironed the shirt, and let's see what it looks like. Okay, so what do you guys think? I think this one looks really cool. It's definitely very bright. And I kind of think the blending colors worked. About the only place where I see more of a definite line is between that pink and the kind of pinky purple color. For the most part, I do think the colors blend pretty well. And I think it looks really cool. I think this one looks like a candy explosion. I'm calling this one Candy Chaos because just the bright pink and red, and it just looks like candy to me. I don't think there's a huge color difference or variety of colors in the red and pinks. Those just kind of blend together since I used more pink type red colors. And the pinks just don't have a whole lot of color difference anyway. So the pink and red spirals just kind of blend together and they make one big spiral, which I don't mind. I think it looks cool. The purple has quite a bit more difference because I did use some of those more pinkish type purples blended with the blue type purples. So I think there's a lot more color variation in the purple spiral area, and I think that looks really cool. I just like the depth and dimension with the chaos spirals. You have definite pink and you have definite purple, but there's just so many other colors in there that I think it makes it very interesting to look at. And I also like the darker red lines, which are streaking from that spiral area. And then up in the other portion of the spiral, they're darker purple areas or streaking lines. I think that's cool. So overall, I think this shirt is really fun. I love all the bright colors, and I definitely think it looks like a chaos of candy, like an explosion of candy. But what do you guys think? Please drop me some comments down below and let me know. And if you've enjoyed the video, I sure would appreciate it if you would like it, and if you'd subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you'll hit the bell, you'll receive a notification whenever I upload a new video. Thank you all for watching, and I hope you have a great day.